Humm, baby.
Enjoy this great game.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Humm Baby Baseball channel. This is Eric, and I just wanted to take a quick look at this article here. MLB using experimental rule changes in 21 minor league season. This is a nightmare headline for me. I do not like these rule changes for the most part. We're going to see what is going on exactly, but there's already been a ton of rule changes in the minor leagues. They started with the runner at second base. Now it's in the big leagues and other changes as well. So what is going on? I'm going to give you my thoughts as I read this article. What in the freak is going on here in the 21 season? Because I go to more minor league games than major league games. My major league game is more important to me as far as standings and obviously World Series implications, whatnot. But as far as just going to the ballpark and enjoying the fresh air and the game and getting the hot dogs and the soda, okay, I got to give up the soda, but as far as the hot dog, I go to minor league baseball games more than major league baseball games, and I love minor league baseball games, but I also enjoy watching the games and rooting for my team, maybe the River Cats or maybe the San Jose Giants or maybe the Fresno Grizzlies, whoever it might be. And if the game is stupid, then it's not as fun. So let's take a look at what's going on. It's also scary because some of these rules could end up in the big leagues. That's the overall goal of Rob Manfred. That's his goal. He starts it in the minor leagues, gets people accustomed to it a little bit, starts it experimentally in the big leagues, maybe spring training, maybe Arizona Fall League, and then it sips into the big leagues. Oh, it's just a COVID-19 thing. Oh no, all this stuff is coming. So we need to be ready. So what's going on here? Major League Baseball has frequently used the minor leagues as testing ground for experimental playing rules. Duh. Thursday afternoon, that was yesterday, MLB announced a new set of rules that will be implemented at various levels of the minors during the upcoming 2021 season, including a limit on defensive shifts. Okay, so if you're going to limit defensive shifts, that is going to be a discussion people will have, but it doesn't exactly change the game too much from a spectator's point of view, but it can definitely change the game from the point of view of a manager or someone who's trying to manage the game the best they can. You should be able to put your defensive players where you want. But anyway, let's move on here. MLB will closely monitor and analyze the impact of each rule change. Blah, 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 blah. The rule changes being tested are designed to increase action on the base paths, create more balls in play, improve pace and length of games, reduce player injuries. Not sure how that reduces players' injuries, but okay. Let's get to the actual rules. Larger bases, that is weird. At the AAA level, the sizes of first, second, and third base will be increased from 15-inch squares to 18-inch squares. This move will be to reduce player injuries and collisions. Okay, so that will make a slightly shorter distances between bases, obviously. Could have a modest impact on the success of stolen base attempts and the frequency with which a batter runner reaches base on ground balls. Yeah, I mean, that's going to help runners and hitters. I mean, we're talking about a very small amount. Just doesn't seem like it's even worth it. I mean, what are you doing? Just trying to come up with something to change just to change it. I mean, as far as I can tell. But you guys let me know if this I don't even know if I would even notice such a thing. But okay, larger bases. Defensive positioning. AA, the experimental rule is a limit on defensive shifts. Defensive shifts, I haven't talked about too much on this channel because I don't really know how I feel about it. I do like traditionally, being a third baseman at third base, a shortstop at short, a second at second, a first at first, everyone in their positions because that's just what I'm used to. But at the same time, if we're starting to figure out if the game is evolving, that we can figure out that we can change defensive shifts to give a better chance to get a guy out. I mean, that should be at the manager's disposal. I mean, there's no rule that says, how far off from third base the third baseman should be. But at the same time, there has been times when I've been like, why not just tell them they have to be in the vicinity, or at least to the point that you can't interchange with another player. So the shortstop needs to be at least to one side of the second baseman, and the third baseman needs to be to one side of the shortstop. Because, you see it how the third baseman will be over in right field. The shortstop is still at short or something like that, where they're actually flip-flopping each other. I mean, I don't know if that should be allowed. Maybe something like that, but I'm really iffy on this restriction, which is intended to increase the batting average of balls in play, depending on the results, which, of course, that doesn't speed up games at all, by the way. That makes games longer, but okay, you get some more action. But depending on the results of the experimental rule change, MLB may decide then to require 2 infielders to be positioned entirely on each side of second base in the second half. So have 2 guys on the second half of second base. Defensive shifts have been around for a very long time, but definitely have gotten more and more bold. And I just think it should be okay. You still have 9 guys on the field. This is kind of I really had to think about this for a long time, but I think my final analysis was they should have quite a bit of liberty because there's still going to be only 9 defenders. One of them is going to be the catcher, and he's stuck there. One of them is going to be the pitcher, and he's stuck there. There's only 7 other guys. So wherever you put them, there's going to be holes for the hitter. If the hitter can't take a ball the other way, that's on him. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that, while maybe there should be some slight rules, I've come to accept that, defensive shifts are okay. That's kind of where I'm at now. But this rule, this whole thing, I'm not too pissed about. But I don't like limiting managers either and limiting what managers should be able to do. So anyway, high A's got the step-off rule. This rule says, and this is something interesting, this rule says pitchers will be required to disengage the rubber prior to throwing to any base with a penalty of a balk in the event the pitcher fails to comply. They say when a similar rule was implemented at the Independent Atlantic League, they always like to start in the independent leagues too, and then it gets to the minors with these little rule changes. They saw a significant increase in stolen base attempts and improved success rate after adoption of the rule. Moving on, here we have robot umps. That I got something to say about. Pickoff limits. Pickoff limits, I got to read this because how are you going to limit pickoffs? If you say you're limited to, say, 3 pickoff plays and you've already thrown the 3, wouldn't the runner take the biggest lead known to man and then just take off because he knows that you can't pick him off? That's why I never understood how pickoffs will work, or pickoff limits. So let's see. The low A level players will see a variety of rule changes. Low A leagues will have a rule where pitchers will be limited to a total of 2 step-offs or pickoffs for plate appearances. Again, I don't understand that. After the 2 step-off or pickoffs per plate appearances, the runner is going to take off. So ultimately, that's a limit of 1, right? 2? Come on. 2 step-offs or pickoffs per plate appearances when there's a runner on base. MLB says that they leave room for adjustment and could consider the limitation to a single step-off or pick-off per plate appearances with at least 1 runner on base. I just don't understand that. Someone please explain to me what would prevent a runner from taking the biggest lead ever or just simply jogging to the next base since they know they can't be picked off? I don't understand that. I don't get it. So moving on here. We had the automated strike system. ABS is coming to affiliated ball, low A Southeast level, the robot umpire. First tested in the Atlantic League, and it was in the Arizona Fall League. That was interesting there. I made a video on that one. They want the electronic strike zone. It is coming. Do I like the electronic strike zone? Yes and no. I think, obviously, I don't like it. I like human umpires, but sometimes the human umpires, as I've ranted about, and I'm not saying I could do better because I keep getting that comment like you could do better. I am not a professional umpire. I'm not saying that they're not good or skilled at their career. What I am saying is I don't think that they always do the best they can. I think they intentionally call balls strikes. I think they intentionally will be a little harder on rookies, things like that. I think they will intentionally say, hey, you should have swung at that ball. Come on, you got this is the count. You need to expand your strike. No, I don't like it. I like the strike zone being the strike zone. And if you watch the last game of the season last year for the Giants, that umpire, Rob Drake, was embarrassingly bad. I mean, terrible. Absolutely terrible. Rob Drake was embarrassing, and it was really frustrating as a Giants fan. I'm not saying the Giants were, going to go win the World Series. I'm not saying that, or even that they would have won that game if he had called a good game. But, he took the bat out of the hands of several hitters, so it was really frustrating. So this is a rule that I think they just need to take their time on, though, which sounds like they're doing. I think this ABS system, you need to make sure it's really working before you implement it in the big leagues. But if it does work correctly, I mean, it would be really weird, but at the same time, at least we won't have any more Rob Drake situations, hopefully. So moving on, there's going to be a pitch timer enforced. Pitch timer, I've never been too mad about. As long as it's not in my face, I don't want it like on the screen. I don't want it a big part of the game, but some kind of a pitch clock said, let's get the show on the road. If you really want to get games going faster, well, you need to move it along with the players. MLB wants pitch clock to improve pace of play. MLBPA does not, because union is fundamentally opposed to adding a clock to baseball. And I understand that baseball does not have a clock, but it's not a game clock. It's not a clock that says the game's going to be over in this many minutes and seconds. Baseball game could go on forever as long as those hitters keep getting hits. So it's not that kind of a clock. It's just a clock, and I think it should be giving the pitchers more than enough time to throw a pitch. It should be a clock where, if long as the pitcher doesn't stay there like an idiot for forever, then it shouldn't be an issue. It's just saying, hey, let's go, pitch the ball, someday. So I don't mind the pitch clock, honestly. That sounds like that's about it. So honestly, after reading the article, I'm not so pissed off. We have the clock rule. I don't like the pickoff thing. I don't think there can be a limit on pickoffs unless someone explains to me how a runner can't just take off when he knows that the pitcher has exhausted his pickoff attempts. I'm not quite understanding that. Right here, the pickoff limits. Robot umps is not something I'm so excited about, but at the same time, I'm sick of these umpires. I think they're terrible. I really would prefer them just to be held accountable. Say, hey, if you suck, you're going to get demoted. That's not the way it is, because the robot, I was going to call them robots, but the umpires have their own, union and whatnot. So, there's only so much can be done. But I think that, Rob Drake's performance and several other umpires in the league are absolutely atrocious. And it's the equivalent to me of a hitter, hitting, 100 with no power every year, yet he can't get demoted. He just gets to keep his spot on the team. Nobody would like that. That would be embarrassing. Most of the umpires do fine, and I'll say that. But there are a lot that suck. So just wanted to note that. So that's all the rules coming to minor leagues. Defensive shift limits, not a huge fan of. Robot umps, not a huge fan of, but certainly understand it based on everything, and I might actually prefer it because, as I mentioned, the umpires can be pretty bad. But as for the rest of it, the pitch clock, and some other things, not that big a deal, I guess, but definitely love the game the way it's been for a long time. I understand changes need to be made, but I think they're just going too crazy with the changes. Let me know what you guys think down below of some of these changes coming into the minor league baseball, which means they are coming to the big leagues. All this stuff is coming to the big leagues sooner or later, so be ready for it. If you don't like it, start a discussion down below in the comments section. Hope you enjoyed the video. Look forward to a San Francisco Giants preview tonight with Bay Area Sports FSSF SF Bay Area Sports Talk. And you guys have a fantastic day. There's going to be more Giants previews, 26-man roster prediction, and my own personal previews as well. We're going to be doing a lot of Giants talk from here on out. So you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time. See ya!
When the Giants come to town, it's bye-bye, baby. Every time the chips are down, it's bye-bye, baby. History's in the making at Oracle Park.